Hey, this is George.
Hey, this is Fred.
This is Real Talk with George and Frazier. Hey, Frazier, man, listen, I never really want thanked everybody for all the well wishes that they gave me during my quarantine and my COVID lockdown. I definitely appreciate all the thoughts and the prayers that came my way. Um, so I just wanted to say thank you on the show for everybody who sent a shout out to me. But
Right?
today I think we got a good show. Boss
Yeah.
Lady J, artist. What kind of artist is she? Do you know?
She's a rapper. Actually, she's a female rapper. So that's
Mm.
that's a rough industry. It's a male-dominated industry. So I'm down to hear how she feels about it and how she interacts with it, how she overcame it. Because that's pretty much a predominantly male industry.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a great interview yesterday with Miss Loretta Farmer and her ministry and what she's doing with at-risk youth, teen, women. And the thing about it, I don't know if you all caught the last piece of that interview, where she herself was in a stringent financial situation where she was actually living in a hotel. We didn't have the opportunity to speak to her more about that particular situation,
Yeah.
but she's definitely a great, great spirit, a great soul. And I want you guys to definitely check that interview out yesterday. I guarantee you, you will be blessed.
Exactly. I mean, it's and when she smiles, and you can tell. You would never tell. You probably speak to her else. You would never tell anything. You would never tell anything going wrong, nothing, because she's so. Her spirit is so humbled, you know, and
Yeah.
that's really rare, especially this time. This time, and the difficult people having COVID-19, not being able to go anywhere, a lot of financial strain over during the first part of the year. People losing jobs. I mean, there's a lot of chain reaction that kept going and going and going. So I tell you, that's one reason why I think Christmas now is a little more important than previous years, because the fact of the matter is this may be the only holiday right now that actually has some limitations, but you still can see some family members. You still can be around some family members, compared to like Thanksgiving where you couldn't really go nowhere, you couldn't do anything, you couldn't be around family members. I think
Well, look, you have to take this virus very seriously. I mean, I didn't go anywhere. I was super cautious. I literally thought I had an upper respiratory infection. You know what I mean? Because I didn't have, like, if they have all the symptoms, I had, like, if there's 10 symptoms, I had
yeah,
three. You see what I mean?
exactly.
But they weren't like major symptoms to me. I mean, the only time I really went and got the COVID test was when I started having shortness of breath, because I was like, that is completely unusual for me. Even working out, I couldn't work out, couldn't do anything. So to find out that I was positive, I was blown away. And the reason why I was blown away is because I'm sitting here talking to you all. I still can't trace where I got COVID-19 from. And, I'm a healthy guy at 46 years old, and it broke me down. So it's not something to play around with. It's definitely real. It's definitely out there, and you definitely have to take this seriously, even if it's not just for yourself, for your loved one, to know that, psychologically or emotionally, you could be responsible for giving a loved one a disease that kills them. A lot of people don't.
Exactly.
Um, a lot of people don't come back from that. You're going to have years of depression, guilt, survivor's guilt, everything that goes along with it, just because you thought this was a joke. So I'm here to tell you that this is definitely not a joke. I'm still taking it seriously, even though I'm not quarantining in my house.
Yeah.
I still don't go out unless I absolutely, absolutely have to. And I'm more strategic with the way that I move now. You see what I mean? Because, like I said, for me, if I was around a crowd of people, this, that, and the third, and I got it, or somebody called me and said, George, you've been exposed to somebody who had it, that would have been different. But to not know how I got it, that's the scary part for me. And, I've been watching the news and tracking the news. If you are here tomorrow, they're going to start vaccinations for, the governor's having a big thing and essential workers and so forth and so on. But that's for them. You have to realize that we won't get any vaccines until January, probably around March. You
Yeah.
see what I mean? And that's a long time when you have almost 3,000 people dying a day still. So that's my little spiel. I'm
Exactly.
still waiting for Boss Lady to come on.
Exactly.
Um,
But I mean, I think too. And also heard also they also doing quarantine over again. So what they're probably doing is, but meanwhile, the time span they're waiting for us to get the vaccine, whatever. They put everybody on quarantine. Like, hey, you ain't going nowhere. We're gonna make sure we can at least try to control some parts of it. Because I think most of the workers have to work during that time. Because the government officials, the police officers, whatever, they have to actually patrol and stuff like that, try to keep order, keep people in
No, I
order.
mean, you're right. They're essential workers. They have to work. My wife is an essential worker. She has to work. They got to a point because they were so short staffed that they were like, if you test positive but you don't have any symptoms, come to work. Now let's just let
Wow,
that settle for a minute, okay? Because that's like any other contagion. If
exactly,
you don't have symptoms, you can work in the COVID unit at your job. You see what I'm saying?
exactly,
Which is just like when I heard that, I was like,
crazy.
that's we've gotten to a point in this country that I don't think we've ever seen before. You know what I mean? But it's a necessity because you can't have one healthy person working 24 hours a day. They're not built like that. You know.
Exactly.
And then the other piece to that, what a lot of people don't understand is the psychology of it. People and patients, and you're watching patients die every day, or people that you treat, dead within a week, 2 weeks. That takes a psychological toll on you because um, that's not your job. Your job is to treat people and heal them, not do the best that you can do just to watch them roll out. When the morgue comes, or the meat truck comes, the cooler comes. You know what I mean? Because
Exactly.
the bodies are piling up. So that was the thing that really got me, even while it was happening to other people. You know, if you don't if you don't know somebody that died from COVID to respect it, you think it's a joke. And you know, I've always respected it. Never thought it was a joke, but it's definitely all good because I'm still here breathing God's good, clean air. You know what I'm saying? God
Ex-
ain't done with me yet.
Exactly. Still waiting on her to come in.
Is she having problems?
They didn't text me back yet, so I'm not sure.
All right. So let's move on then. Have you been watching the NBA pre games that they've been having?
I saw a few. I ain't even say I saw a bunch of them. I saw a few. I'm more this with the trades going on, man. These trades are crazy right now, man. Some make sense and some don't even make sense at all. Like, why are you trading this type of person for the exact person you got rid of? I'm thinking now they're realizing that team chemistry is what you're really looking for versus that superstar, that great all-star player. Because, like, I believe that if you are referred to which Shannon Sharp and Gilbert Arenas were talking about, he was saying the same thing. You got the greatest player of all times on your team, but they're not getting along with the rest of your players. You can't produce. You can't win a game. I mean, unless a player can throw 100 points a game, uh, you still got to help for the other teammates. You still need help.
Yeah, I mean, there's no I in team, and that's
Exactly.
the problem. I mean, if you look at some of the teams where everybody was like, oh, this particular player went to this team, or he got drafted by this team, and he's going to do this and he's going to do that.
Exactly.
No, he only has, if it's basketball, he only has one position. If it's football, he only has one position. If it's baseball, he only has one position. If it's hockey, he only has one position. The only sport that I know of where it's an I sport is combat sports.
Exactly.
So if you're not boxing, kickboxing, or doing MMA, or even professional grappling, or professional wrestling, whatever it is, you're the only one that's responsible for the outcome of that particular match. That's it. There's nobody there to help you. But how many times have we seen players, football, basketball, you name it, injure themselves because they're trying to do too much? You know what I mean? Uh,
Exactly.
I mean, look at that player from I forgot his name. KG3 football player.
RG3.
RG3. Where is he now? How come nobody's ever hearing anything from him? The reason why they're not is because they ran that boy like a horse until
Exactly.
he got injured. And you notice after he got injured, you haven't heard anything from him again because he was doing too much. Instead of him sitting the bench and learning the plays and becoming a more developed quarterback, they had him out there scrambling, trying to make plays. When plays got broken, running because he's fast. 100 yards, and I'm just like, he's gonna burn out.
Exactly.
Exactly what
What?
happened.
Burnout too. In fact, too, he reminded me. Remember Randall Cunningham? Same
Mhm.
style, same everything. But I tell you, the difference in Randall Cunningham and RG3 is the fact of the matter is he had a better offensive line. And now some of the injuries he had, I call it cheap shots. They got him when he was on the ground. Guy come late in here to throw helmets in. Even though it's a penalty, but it does not take away from the actual effect of that hit from on that player. See,
Oh,
coaches gotta learn that technique. If even though I get a penalty, but guess what? I still slowed you down. I still stopped your productivity. I still stopped you from throwing the ball deep. Still stopped you from running. I got you thinking about running now. So you got some coaches actually put that in the game plan. If you can't beat them, go to game B. Plan B is we're gonna do something. Hit them. I take the penalty. Just make sure you hit them. I mean, to me that's a bad way to style of playing football, a bad coaching style, you know. But it's very common, even now in the NFL, even now going over to the NBA now. If we can't beat you, we're gonna hurt you. You know,
oh yeah. I mean, um, the NBA of Michael Jordan's time was more physical than what we're seeing now. But if you remember, there was a while back where Mark Cuban got fined because he walked into his locker room and told his players, you know, whatever fine you get, I'll play it, but you got to start being more aggressive and
yeah,
doing whatever it is you got to do to win, which means, you're basically green lighting people to hurt other players because you want to win, and the body's just not built to that. And on top of that, look, it's just bad sportsmanship.
exactly,
Any way you look at it, it's just bad sportsmanship. Okay. You got to tell your players to hurt somebody else so you can win. I understand if I'm covering a quarterback and I give him a good pop just to let him know I'm there. But I'm not going to dig my helmet into his ribs. I'm not going to hit him when he's not looking. I'm not going to broadside him or try to concuss him or get him out of the game because I want to win so bad.
exactly,
No, first and foremost, that's a human being. And after the game, you still have to deal with that. So imagine you can cuss that player and he's never the same, or he slips into a coma. You did
exactly,
all of that just to win a football game. And your check is no different. You're not
exactly,
getting any more money. See what I mean?
exactly.
So it's crazy.
But you know what, too? That also starting from the youth football all the way up. Like
Yeah.
bad technique, bad tackling. That's why you see players now lean with their head into it because they want to do the damage, most damage humanly possible to a person. So they lean with their head in. But they don't talk about other effects of that. Say that person lean into a bit bigger than you. He actually got more skill than you. You end up getting injury. Now you get concussions. Now you creating more of a havoc. Because more concussions are starting from bad techniques. And then, like you say, I'm trying to do more damage to the person. I'm trying to get a person out of the game. I'm trying to do it. So you put more effort into it. So you lean more. You put more effort. Like I tell people, the science of football is basically this. If you're a big man, 350 pounds, versus a smaller guy who's 125 pounds, and if you're a big man who can run with the NFL, you got big man 146, 47s, and you got some running back still running 46, 242. It's not the same thing. If I were to take a running back at 125 pounds going at me versus a 355 pounds going at 4'6", running full speed at me, that's a big difference of technique and style.
But it's
And
not even technique or style. It's a big difference in physics. You're
exactly,
having something at 150 coming and you're having something at 325 coming.
exactly,
Same speed, but different masses on that particular collision. You know,
exactly,
and the person with the lighter mass is going to lose all the time. You
exactly,
know, that's how you see a lot of kids get hurt, either pinched nerves in their neck, their shoulders, their collarbones, and they never become the same because of the bad technique, spearing people with your helmet
exactly,
and doing all that nasty stuff. Because the thing is, when you injure yourself that severely when you're young, if you stop as you're growing, your body might be able to overcome that injury. But if you keep going, what will happen is that injury will become chronic. So that's why you see in kids at 18, 19 years old getting knee replacements, getting their shoulders replaced, getting neck surgery. You see what I mean? Because
exactly,
they got an injury when they were 13 years old and they just been putting band-aids on it and not necessarily nurturing it. So it's definitely brutal.
exactly.
But listen, moving from sports to politics, it wouldn't do us any justice if we didn't talk about politics. Um, Not the fact that the election is over, but the electoral college is voting today. And so let me ask you, Fraser, How do you? You're in Florida. I'm in Jersey. Definitely Republican state, Democratic state. But here's my thing: you have over 40 lawsuits. You lost virtually 40 lawsuits. You go to another state to go to the Supreme Court, and they throw it out.
Exactly.
And it's not a matter of people saying, "Oh, when is when." Enough is enough. Oh, there was cheating. Let me explain something to people that has been bothering me since this thing happened, since we voted. The states that they are talking about are the Republican legislature states that have made it more difficult to vote, not easier. You see what I mean? So when you have their secretaries of state saying the vote was secure, you have this saying the vote was secure. You have the federal government saying this is one of the most secure elections that we have. You have the Department of Justice saying there's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. You know, in Pennsylvania, when they talk about voter fraud, there's two cases that they're not talking about where two people tried to vote twice. They were Republicans voting for Trump. They
Wow.
they went and voted in the line, and then they got the mail-in ballot and they voted. And now the issue is, remember, when Trump went to rally, he told them to do that. So that's exactly what they did. But we don't hear about that in the mass news media of the voter fraud that happened and what is going to happen to those people if anything is going to happen to them. It's
Yeah.
just the fact that you're sitting here and you're listening to a guy who, in some form or fashion, sees his political life over and moving into his private life. He has serious problems. And it's just not with New York, it's with Maryland, it's with Delaware. He's been sheltered. He's been sheltered. I'm sorry, not Delaware, it's with Maryland and DC. But he's been sheltered because he's been the president. So whenever he's not the president anymore, he has to deal with all those things. And I tell people this all the time. Being in New Jersey, I know what Donald Trump did and how he devastated this economy here in Atlantic City. Devastated it. Okay. He got his money out of a lot of those casinos and deals and left people to lose hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars of investment. Okay. That's just the kind of person that he is. He's never changed. He's 70 something years old and he still feels the need to take advantage of people, even now. He's been sending out over 400 emails to help stop steal the vote. He raised over $200 million. Why? Because he knows that he only has to spend $1 million on the election stuff, and he gets to keep the $199 million to fight the stuff in New York, keep monies in his coffers. You see what I mean? That's the mentality. And I don't feel sorry for them being taken advantage of like that. That's what you chose to do. I was done with Donald Trump from the time he started running because I was just like, you can't sit here and allow somebody to lie to you. And then when he gets caught in a lie, you'd be like, oh, he didn't mean it like that. Well, hold on. You didn't say it. He did. So
Exactly.
tell me how he meant it. You see what I'm saying? If you sit here making excuses for him. They've tracked this man saying over 20,000 lies since he's been in the White House. So let me ask you the question: how could you trust somebody like that? Okay. If you don't know if it's going or coming. If
That's,
your doctor lied to you like that, you'd sue him for malpractice. If
no,
your employer lied to you like that, you'd sue him for damages and everything else, right? If your financial advisor lied to you like that, you'd have him arrested on fraud. You see what I mean? So
exactly.
you have all these things. If your wife lied to you like that, you wouldn't be married. If your kids lied to you like that, you beat them half to death. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it doesn't, just because you get the political policies that you want, it doesn't justify the means of how you got it. You
That's
see
true.
what I mean?
That's true. I mean, that's thing you said. You can't trust somebody like that. But then again, you gotta look at one thing too. He's a businessman, and he haven't changed philosophies since he's started running for president or
That's
before
right.
he was president. He's always been doing this. So it's nothing new. Bad media to him is good media. You know, the more controversy, the more things he into, the more his business prospers. He knows this. You know why? He's paying for free advertising. He, good men don't get good advertising.
That's
Me
right.
and you do not get great advertising because the fact of the matter, we're good. We're not news. He learned the fact of the matter how to use the media to influence and to improve his business and making more profits. Because if you think about how if I wanted media to grab me, I can't say, "Oh, George, you're a great guy. George, you're a terrible person. You throw this from throw this from." I can't stand it. Guess what? I created controversy content. So now the media want to interview us, want to talk to you. So George, so tell me, how do you feel about Frazier? What he said about you 2 weeks ago? You better say, what he said about me.
Oh
I ain't,
yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. His strategy, we've seen that in hip hop. We've seen that in R&B with beefs. Yo, let's go sell some records. You see what I
exactly.
mean? We've seen that in politics. We've seen that in even fighting. What
Yeah,
do fighters do when they sell a fight? They sit there, they talk about each other's whatever they want to talk about to sell a fight, and they go, "Ooh, bad blood. Let me go check it out." But this politics things, the reason why it's so different for me is the fact that people actually believe this guy. Okay. Somebody went, he said, drink some hand sanitizer. They drank hand sanitizer and went blind, talking about that fighting COVID. Okay.
exactly.
Oh, you can take chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine. Took chloroquine and died. So these are real consequences. So, that's the real issue that I have with this person and have always had with this person is the fact that you wield such huge power, but you don't respect the power that you yield. You just feel like you can say anything you want to say, how
Exactly.
you want to say it. I mean, look at that. In 2016, he went to the Russians for dirt on Hillary Clinton and won the election.
Exactly.
2020, he's looking for dirt on Hunter Biden. Well, Hunter Biden is not Joe Biden. Hunter Biden is nobody running for any political office. But the thing is, he played the same move twice with the Russians first and the Ukrainians second. And, you know, I'm old enough to know that if these Republicans who walk around here and drive around here in my area with their American flags and beat their chests and this, that, and the third, if their grandparents were still alive to see what America had become, they would be ashamed of themselves. Okay. Never in history has anybody in the United States of America looked to a foreign power to help me win elections. That's what you do in second and third world countries. You don't do that in Western civilized nations. And you know what they all said? Oh, it's okay. Why? Because they wanted their man to win. So, you know, I feel like if you ever um, feel the need to set aside your morals for anything, you if you can set aside your morals for this, you can set aside your morals for anything. You see
Exactly.
what I mean? And you don't have character when people are looking at you. You have character when nobody's looking at you and you can still stand on your integrity and principles. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And the
Very
people
true. I
and
tell
the,
you, it go back to the old phrase. I'm gonna come on, gonna make come with like Spider-Man. Spider-Man. The guy says, "With power comes great responsibility and great accountability." That what you understand. You don't understand that. I mean, you had the power. You had influence. You could do so much good things with, but you choose not to do the right thing with it. You choose to do other things you want to do for your own political gain, which is okay for some people, but not for everybody.
right.
Still treating the people in this world that actually suffer from your effects of your decisions. You know, like oh, nothing big. Like for example, not wearing a mask. He never wore a mask, so people feel if this everybody else telling to wear a mask, but guess what? The president's not wearing a mask, so why should I have to?
And he got it. You
You
see
know,
what I'm saying, phrase? He got it. If he wasn't the president of the United States, they wouldn't have gave him all that experimental stuff to keep him alive. You see what
exactly.
I mean? He got it. Well, listen, folks, we've been here waiting for Boss Lady J. Apparently, she's caught up. So, what we're going to do is, instead of you listening to me and Phrase just ramble on, we're going to reschedule her to come back on a later date. We definitely will redo this interview. It's great talking to you, Phrase, even about
Always, always.
COVID, music, politics, great diversity. But listen, very important. check our show out this Thursday
Yep.
because we have uh, JR, music producer. He's going to be on. And then we have financial consultant Jay Rowland coming on Friday. And the reason why this is important is because finances are going to be a big thing moving forward, either recovering from this economy and COVID, but also setting yourself up for the new year. And how do you not just recover, how do you survive going forward post COVID? So it's going to be a great conversation on Friday with Jay Rowland, and it's going to be a great conversation on Thursday with JR. So check us out. Hey, this is George.
H is phrase.
This is Real Talk with George and Frazier. Thanks for checking in.
Always.